All right, everyone. Welcome into DodgerHeads presented by Dodger Blue. I am Jeff Spiegel, and I am joined by Matt Moreno. And we have got some news that we wanted to discuss in the shorter format. On Wednesday, Ken Rosenthal reported that Major League Baseball has officially rejected the players' proposal of a 114-game season and is not planning on countering with an offer of their own. So, Matt, we talked a little bit about this on our show earlier in the week, but what was your reaction and what do you make of the official rejection by Major League Baseball?
And so I wasn't surprised that Major League Baseball and the owners didn't go for the 114 game plan for a lot of the reasons we've touched on. Like you said earlier in the week, it's just that would probably stretch the season too far into the fall. And maybe then you're dealing with a second wave of the coronavirus, which then would put the postseason at risk, which is when teams are looking to kind of recoup a lot of the lost revenue from the year. So that wasn't surprising at all. What did surprise me, frankly, is that they basically don't have any plans to
Mm.
kind of keep the conversation going. That they're not going to present a counter proposal, and basically Rob Manfred and the league is looking at implementing sort of imposing a short season in kind of 50 to 60 game range, which at that point, I mean 50 games like that, it's almost a joke really. And I don't want to be, doom and gloom. That's not really in my nature anyway. But man, you asked me earlier in the week, where my confidence level was, and I just keep getting more discouraged by the day, it seems.
Yeah, it's interesting because, in one way, I think there's reason for optimism in the sense that Major League Baseball apparently believes that they have a pathway in which they can just make baseball happen and they don't need to come to any sort of agreement. They believe that this March 26th agreement that the players have been holding up all along, saying you agreed to prorated salaries, we're ready to go with this. Major League Baseball's response, it appears this week, has been, okay, well, in that, we believe it says that we can do whatever we want as far as games go. So if we want to play 50 games, then you've already agreed to that, and let's go. So in some sense, there's optimism of, hey, you know what, baseball might actually happen. But to your point, it's not in the format that I think any of us are hoping for, which is this 50 game. And it really brings up this dilemma that I think the players, it's kind of like the ball is back in the players' court, because they could obviously present another proposal. They could reach out to the league. But there is this dilemma, right? Major League Baseball has said, if we play, for every game that we play, paying you the prorated salaries that you believe we've agreed to, we're losing money. So Major League Baseball stance is prorated salary games are bad for us. So it seems like if what they are wanting is to make more money, a higher dollar amount, they're going to have to cave a little bit on the per game rate that they have agreed to. Now, they've said we're not going to negotiate on money, but I'm wondering if there is a place in here somewhere for them to come to an agreement on a middle ground where they say, okay, we're going to play 82 games, and for the first 50, we're going to get a full prorated salary. We've already agreed to that. But are the players willing to compromise on games 51 through 84? Is there a place for them to say, or 82, is there a place for them to say, we'll take half pay for those? Because again, you might say, well, why would they do that? They're losing money. Yes, they're losing money on a per game basis, but 32 extra games at half pay for a lot of guys, I mean, that's still a significant chunk of change. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean I saw you tweet that today, and that was definitely I thought, oh, that's would seem, I guess, to be quote unquote fair at this point. My concern is if MLB tries to go the route of just saying, well, you know what, in this contract, we have the authority to just decide we're going to play, 50 games or 55, 60 games, whatever it is. How do the players respond to that? Because whatever language is in this contract seems to be interpreted two different ways, which I know contracts obviously can be complex, but I don't know if I've ever seen a contract that is interpreted
This might be the worst contract of
completely
all time.
right. Like, the Players Association have one complete interpretation of it. MLB and the teams have a completely different view of it. So, if the league comes and says, okay, this is what we've decided, like, do the players support that? Do they show up? Do they, sort of boycott or, have a lockout? And my concern too isn't so much this year, but then, the
Yeah.
CBA is up after next season.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a next season? And then if we do get through that, what are the negotiations going to be like? Because this is already kind of setting up for, it's not going to be not friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, there needs to be some grace in the sense of, as one person I heard talking about this put it, like, baseball is trying to build an entire CBA on the fly, the Players Association in the league. I mean, we are in uncharted territory. And unlike the NBA and some of these other leagues that are only having to navigate reconstructing a playoff scenario, Major League Baseball is having to build from the ground floor up. So I do think there needs to be some patience. Now, the flip side is, it took a while between March 26th and about 2 weeks ago when discussions, it felt like, really started happening. So, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the deadline is. Like, when does a decision have to be made in order for baseball to be played? You would think it would be, some people mentioned this week, based on the tone of things. I don't think it's this week. I think it's probably next week or maybe 2 weeks from now. But it will definitely be interesting. Again, for some reason, there's a part of me that thinks there's more optimism because the owners believe that they have an agreement in place in which that entitles them to start the baseball season. And, how, to your point, the players obviously asked for 114 games because they want to make as much of their money as possible. So would they lock themselves out over 50 prorated games where obviously there's less risk for them, less time in quarantine, all of those things that were sort of concerns on the front end? It'll really, really be fascinating to see kind of what the next step, because to your point, if we start a season with the two sides not coming to any form of an agreement, with not earning any form of goodwill amongst each other, but almost resentfully entering into the 2020 season, that's not good for the 2021 CBA talk. So we will see. As always, you can check out the latest news on this and all of baseball at DodgerBlue.com. You can follow us on social media at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. DodgerBlue 1958 is where you'll find us. So we appreciate you checking us out. Stay tuned for more.